Welcome to this week's episode of Two Guys and Some Horror. I'm excited to be talking about this film with my co-host Clark. How you doing, pal? Hello, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, my friend. How are you today?
Doing good. Um,
Good, good to
keeping
hear.
busy. Keeping busy.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's what I've been hearing.
So, we're going to talk about a movie that I've actually been holding off on picking for a little while. I watched it last year, somewhere around Halloween, I think, and I thought it would be a really fun episode for the show. So I threw it on my list, and then here we are. So we're finally getting to it. It's Haunt from 2019. You can check it out on Shudder right now. You can also rent it on Amazon Prime if you so wish to. Let's break down the movies like little bits and bobs real quick. So it's from 2019, like I said. The director and writer, it is Scott Beck and Brian Woods. These two are good friends. Like I mentioned to you before the show, they've been friends since 11. They also wrote A Quiet Place at the same time that they actually wrote Haunt. And they kept telling
Right.
themselves through the process of writing A Quiet Place is that they wanted to do an elevated, in air quotes, horror movie. And they give themselves shit about doing this still to this day during different interviews that I've seen. What is elevated horror, right? But that's what they thought of
hmm
when they were writing A Quiet Place. And they felt that with Haunt, they wanted to kind of go back to more of a John Carpenter-esque slasher feel. So what they mean by that really, I think, is you don't need a backstory with the killers. You don't need to understand the motives kind of behind what they're doing. You just need to know that there are sick people out there that do sick things. What do you think about that?
Sure. Watching this film, I had a couple ideas going through the first time before I kind of spoiled myself, but we can get into that a little bit more in depth later on. I thought it was really good. Well done.
Yeah, I guess I was more curious about your feelings on that John Carpenter slasher-esque feel. Did you get that good feeling like there's no motive here. There doesn't really need to be a motive. A motive almost would give you too much information about what's going on.
I like where they left it. I like that there were questions left unanswered. They made the only real things we get are kind of like I think one of them is a tattoo artist. Like we don't know who or what these killers are.
Yeah. Yeah, great point. Because they talk about that in one of the interviews as well. Is there's these little like phrase or pieces of edging of their backgrounds is how you describe it, and I really like the imagery there. But we never really get that deep down background, which I think is really cool. Um,
Right.
so the film stars Katie Stevens, Will Britton, and Alyssa McLean. Out of these three main, because there's obviously more than just these three when we watch the film, but out of these three, the only one who I actually know of from anything else is Lauren Alyssa McLean. She's actually a Disney star, quite big Disney star as well.
Yeah, apparently. She's the youngest one in the cast.
Hmm.
Everyone else is like 5, 7 years younger than her.
Younger than her or older than?
I honestly, I don't know any of these people. Like
Yeah,
I've never seen any of them act before, but they did a fantastic job, and my hat's off to them. So great job in your portrayal of these characters.
yeah.
I don't think they're really. Is there? Katie and Will or Harper and Nathan are definitely the main characters for sure.
Harper, I give you 100%. Nathan is still, I mean, in my opinion, I guess he'd still be kind of that sub main character. You
Well,
definitely
he's the
get more of
romantic
him.
interest.
Exactly, yeah. You get more of him in there. Um, but yeah, the rest of the crew just kind of feel like the crew, right? They're just there along for the ride.
Well, yeah, I kind of sent you my notations of the tropes that I felt that they fell under. You have the virgin who is Katie Stevens or Harper, her character, and then you have Will Britton who plays Nathan. He is the romantic interest. So in a lot of cases of these horror films, you either have the virgin or and or the romantic interest survive. Sometimes they try to change things, but not very often. You have the asshole ex-boyfriend who's abusive, Sam, who yeah, oh, I can talk more about that. You have the kind of the asshole jock character
Mm-hmm.
who is played by he's not really a jock, he's just this chubby guy who's kind of like your tongue-in-cheek, funny, fat guy in a sense, but he's Then you have the bitchy character who we you probably get the feeling that she's gonna die first. She just shits on everything. You have the girl who's afraid of spiders, who she's the kind of like, I don't know about this, guys. I'm scared. You have this super hot roommate, Bailey, and then you have, yeah. No, I think I went through them all.
Yeah.
Actually, no
No,
more.
you nailed them. That's perfect. I was just pulling up your notes just to make sure that we didn't forget anything. Nice job,
Yeah,
dude. I
yeah. No, it
agree.
was.
I agree with your tropes 100%, by the way. I have no arguments here. I mean, you nailed it in that comment.
I feel, yeah, well cast. Even though these aren't all tropes, but you definitely get the sense that Harper's gonna get out of this alive. It's like, okay, it's focusing on her. We get introduced to her. We learn that she had a good past. We learn more about that later on in the film, and because she kind of awkwardly says, "Oh, I grew up in a very normal family that was very supportive and very loving. Nothing went wrong in my life." She has an abusive ex-boyfriend. Her friend like says it's over, and then she sends it because he threw a pumpkin out her window. I don't know.
That was also
And
a
we get,
really awkward opening to meeting our
yeah,
characters, right?
well,
Uh,
throws a pumpkin out a door, and
yeah, he
then Bailey
smashed the
comes out.
pumpkin.
I liked that though, because I at first I thought Bailey was going to be the main character,
Exactly, yeah.
and as soon as Harper gets introduced, when she's putting cover up on her eye because she obviously got hit, we never see the bruise on her eye again, despite her probably sweating and crying.
All right, so the one
Um,
question that the writer and director wanted everyone to have at the end of this film, okay, and I'm just
mhm.
going to lay it out there now. That way, when we go through this, I'm not sure if we're going to spoil the end yet. I don't really want to personally because I
I
feel
don't
like it's worth watching it yourself.
I don't think this is a film I can spoil, like physically. I don't think I can
Okay.
go out there and tell everybody exactly what goes on, but we can tell them. Yeah. Anyhow,
Sure. So the the question that they wanted everyone to have at the end of the movie is, what is behind everyone's mask?
dude, I love that
Yeah.
because they say that so many times in this film. He's like,
Hmm.
I want to see. I'm gonna see what's under your mask. I'm gonna take and in so many scenes, like when there's a kill, you see someone's face either get burnt, cut, ripped open with a crowbar, or exploded.
Hmm.
And then you see scenes with everyone taking their masks off. The villains, you'd say, and their faces are actually disfigured, except for one of them.
Who I don't even. Oh man, that poor kid. He got roped into a bad shtick. Okay, so let's.
Well, and he, yeah,
I'm gonna lay out the story real quick. The synopsis, I should say. That way, people at least understand what we're talking about as we're going through. So on Halloween night, a group of friends encounter this extreme haunted house that promises to feed
hmm,
on all of their darkest fears. The night
yep.
then turns into a super deadly night as they come to the horrifying realization that some of their nightmares are real. Um,
So,
it's so
quick
good.
question:
So good.
was it Mallory who was afraid of the spiders, or was it Angela?
Uh, oh man, I wish I
It
could
was
actually tell
Mallory.
you.
It was
Okay.
Mallory. She was the one that was dressed as the 1920s girl.
Yes,
Uh,
the flapper
yeah,
is the one scared of spiders. Yes.
she was the one that was the kind of the terrified germaphobe-esque character. Not really germaphobe, I'm just kind of saying that to portray her personality. And then Angela was kind of the bitchy one. Very, very much an asshole. But
And that was the nurse, right?
yeah, she was dressed up as the nurse.
Yeah. That, oh man,
Yeah.
when we get there, that kill was awesome, by the way. Okay.
Goodness
I
gracious.
don't want to bounce around too much, but we also don't really go through the movie necessarily in a standard order. We don't like to just lay it out there every time for you guys. But how awesome was the logo intro?
I don't remember it, man.
All right,
Could you lay
let
it
me
out
set
for
the
us?
yeah, I'm gonna set the tone for you. So you see some guy, he's running some red string, Home Alone style, and then all of a sudden, as he gets to the end of it, he plucks it like a guitar string, and then the
All
logo
right.
from Haunt comes fading in with the sinister music. Absolutely killed it. I loved it. Set the tone for
I'd have to
me.
rewatch.
Yeah, it's worth a rewatch there.
I'm in. There's a so getting into the movie, like the structure of it.
Uh huh.
There's a lot of foreshadowing here. We hear about her past. We see her. We get a call from her ex-boyfriend's truck shows up. The first thing we see is the truck driving by in the actual film, like after the screen crawl, the very beginning. The pumpkin hits the door. We see that red truck with the white stripe.
Yep.
Foreshadowing there. That's going to get into that later. But then you see Bailey, her kleptomaniac bullshit, takes the ring. Foreshadowing there. That ring's important. Put a pin on it. Bailey talks about her family. That's important. Put a pin on it. The guy brings up he brought his lucky bat to a party, the love interest. That's important. Put a pin on it. Everything they mention that has to do with backstory has some sort of relation to what's going to happen later on in this film. And I love it when films actually follow good or good kind of proper writing structure. Loved it. Normally I don't like gory films like this to the point I did. Like I was cringing at a lot of the scenes, like when she stepped on the bed of nails.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I was like, ooh, she's trying to take her feet off. She just stepped on these nails, went all the way in, pulling
All
them
right,
out,
so
and then she's limping for the next 5 minutes, and then forgets about it later on.
So this is
But
a piece
yeah,
that
go
I
ahead.
actually, well, this is a piece I kind of want to go over with you, just because I know your feelings on gore, right? And we did do Hot Crack Rats episode a couple, I think it might have been a month ago now. But I want to get your opinion. So, like on a gore level of Hostel, Saw, we can even throw Southbound in there because it is considered gore-esque. But where do you put Haunt in your like range of gore? Like how bad is it?
So it's not Cannibal Holocaust.
Okay.
It's it is. I would put it below Terrifier in terms of the gore. I think Terrifier took it to like the next level, and Hostel might be a bit above that even, like with the dick cutting off scene in the second movie.
Yeah.
But no, it's not super gory. It's just you feel everything that goes on, and when there's gore, it just happens really quickly.
Yeah. I mean, so what I did was I marked down like my favorite kill, but then I also kind of throughout watching the movie marked down the gory pieces of it that kind of just made me go, ugh, like I felt like you're saying, like you feel it, right? Like that disgusted feeling. So
Yeah,
I have a
empathy.
yeah, for sure. I was definitely feeling it. So I have them kind of listed. I was curious though, before I get into any of them, your opinion on which kill or which piece of gore was probably your favorite, I guess.
Which gore scene's my favorite?
Yeah.
Oh man, let's circle back to that. Let's put a pin on that because
Okay.
I don't know. Tell me yours.
Okay. So personally, my favorite one is the pitchfork through the girl's head. I feel it was
Okay, okay.
insanely awesome. The way like
That
her
was the
eyes rolled back as one of the forks goes through the temple, but then outside the bridge nose. It was so gruesome. It was perfect.
that was that was Mallory, right? Mallory's the
The
first
nurse.
one. Oh, Angela?
Yeah.
Okay, because one of their friends disappears,
She
and
gets
then
burned by the
okay,
witch.
then no, she doesn't get burned by the witch. Someone we don't know gets burned by the witch.
And then
She
she
gets
gets,
a like a railroad spike or something shoved through her head.
yeah, that's right.
I
She never
thought
actually
that
gets burned. Yeah.
so that wasn't Angela, that was Mallory. I thought it was Angela that got that, but if it was Mallory, either way.
So I'm going to
Um,
say the nurse girl was the one who got the pitchfork, and the flapper is the one who got kidnapped by the witch.
okay.
I'm not going to really be,
She
I
fell
don't
through the
remember
trap
their
door.
names. Yeah.
Well,
I know
as they're
Harper's
kind of
name.
going, yeah, if we're talking about favorite gore scene, it would have to be when the guy gets his head blown off by the shotgun.
Okay.
Right there and then, you have the heroine trying to fight off this guy, and she stabbed him in the eye earlier, and she like shoves her thumb right through his eyeball, squeezing it. A little bit of blood. He's like, "Oh, you bitch! I'm a monster!" Oh, lifts his head up, and then boom, head gets blown
Well,
off.
she
You
like
only see
grabs
like
his eye where she gouged him and like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
forces
She
his head
squeezed her
up.
thumb in it.
Yeah, it's, oh.
No, and he lifted up in pain at that moment, like and, like grabbed his face, and then boom, everything gets blown off except for his jaw, and then he falls over dead, hunched
Yeah.
over. And
Kudos to
yeah,
her
I
for
would say
being,
that's it.
kudos for her to be in that moment and think, I know the music's playing. I know it's going to happen. The gun's going to go off. I need to get him somehow up so he gets shot by the shotgun when it goes off. Otherwise, I'm screwed. Because he had just punched
Yeah,
her so hard that her head slapped off the concrete. You know what I mean? Like that whole scene is pretty gripping right there too with her in that hallway.
Let's kind of let's kind of backtrack to the progression of this film because when I'm watching it, as I started out kind of, and this is where I think there's going to be some spoilers, and I hope if you guys have not seen this movie, definitely do yourself a favor. If you love horror, watch this right away, and then put a pause the episode, come back. Welcome back. Anyhow, uh, this portion went like the very beginning. They go to this haunt, right? And it kind of slowly progresses and evolves into this. Oh shit! Everyone is going to die, and you don't like. At first, I was like, "Oh, he says they're friends outside. She's safe. Nobody dies. Safety's a huge priority." Like I believe Mitch, who is a character that we get introduced to later on,
White coat.
and
Yep.
and the little Stay Puft weird marshmallow mask thing, the ghost. I don't know what it is.
So all of the workers here at the haunt are wearing masks. Just to throw that out there,
Yep.
they're all wearing different kinds of masks and outfits.
Costumes.
Yeah.
One's a
and
devil, one's a ghost, one's a hillbilly with a chainsaw, and one's a clown.
the clown, the witch, and then yeah, the devil. What's the super old one? That's like sitting and they couldn't stand. I can't remember what
Death?
its theme. Death, I think. Yeah.
I think it was death.
So they all have these masks on already, and they don't really talk at first when they
Do
when
we
you
want to
first meet
spoil
them.
who Death was?
Spoil what?
Do we want to spoil Death?
No, not
Okay.
yet. We'll figure that out when we. Oh man, I don't know. I don't want to because that's a
So we
big.
won't talk about that. That's a good scene though.
We could talk about the
So look
scene.
forward
I
to
guess we could talk about the scene up until the point, but I
Well,
would.
we don't have to. Death shows up and Death dies. Like
Perfect. Okay.
that's
Yep.
all you need to know.
There you go, folks.
That's a great scene. Uh anyhow, we won't talk about like I think certain characters like appearing, not appearing, I feel could hold off on. Some of it is like anticlimactic. You know what I'm talking about, Curtis?
Yeah. So one important note here is like red coat guy, right? All throughout the night has
Yeah.
been kind of following Harper around, and then
Yeah.
when you get to the haunt, there's also red coat guy there. And I'm curious your thoughts
Right.
on that. Like honestly, what was going through your mind when you were watching this for the first
I don't
time? Like,
remember.
okay,
I don't
he,
remember the red coat guy following her. I remember him showing up. He stabs one of the girls in the face with a pitchfork, and then she's like, "Please no, please Sam, don't." Her abusive ex-boyfriend, and he's like, "Who's Sam?" Then he pulls his mask off,
yeah.
and he has like all these weird spikes and things coming out of his face. He's disfigured. You could tell it was surgically done.
So she's got
Great
this
makeup, by the way.
she's got this idea in her head that it's Sam because earlier in the night he sent a picture of himself in a werewolf costume with a red hood cape thing over it, and he said, something along the lines of in the text message it says like, "I'm watching you" or something like that. And then later in the night she goes in the alleyway after the party that they're having at the club or whatever, where everyone kind of meets. This is the meet cute for everyone, right?
Mhm.
And there's a dude at the end of the alleyway behind the gate in a red coat, and I'm pretty sure that was Sam following her throughout the night, or at least that's
I
what
don't
we're
think
led
so.
to believe, that it was the boyfriend or
I don't
ex-boyfriend.
know. I don't know who it was, but it may have been the person who gave them the instructions of how to get to the haunt in the first place. Like they may have been like chosen directly by this person.
Definitely. I mean,
Good.
I think a place like this would, like you're saying, they would go out of their way to go and make sure someone gets there. It's almost like Mike Myers in Scare Package, where you have to
Right.
turn the sign just the right way for everyone to go to the haunted house.
hmm
No,
Yeah, I love
definitely.
that.
So the weird mixture there between the red coat, the boyfriend's text, the picture that he sends Harper of himself in that red coat, definitely made me think that maybe he was stalking her in the alley. But I like the idea of it being one of the masked workers at the haunt way better, kind of setting them up to get them there, to get them to the location. I think that's a much better explanation for sure.
So when I was watching this, you get to see what's his face. I initially thought Sam was going to show up, like at some point in the film because they mention him so many times. We see the truck, he throws the pumpkin. Billy's like, "Your boyfriend's a dick, break up with him." She breaks up with him. And from there, it's like we get into her past with her parents, the hiding on the bed scenario where her dad's abusive, um,
The ring
which
falling out of
isn't
her mom's
the ring
hand.
falling off her
Hmm.
mom's hand, the ring being important to her, Bailey losing the ring, getting her wrist cut. Um, there was so much foreshadowing that I was like, this has to come up again. And guys, like we said, that there's some spoilers here. It definitely Sam definitely comes up again. So there's whether or not it's great or terrible, the expectation was there and they fulfilled it. And I'm grateful for that. There are no loose ends. There's nothing like really that's not tied together. Everything in this film that's introduced gets a nice little resolution, and that is mwah, perfect.
I don't think there's any better way to explain that. The boyfriend, the boyfriend does show up, but whether it's climactic or not doesn't matter. It is what it
Yeah,
is.
no,
I like
no,
that.
for sure.
I like that. Okay. So the haunt itself, right? You've got here's an emotional moment for me. Okay. You and I actually went to a fun haunt last year.
Yeah,
We went with two buddies.
I went with my
Your
girlfriend, you at
girlfriend,
the time, and you
yes,
went when Cesar came as
and
well.
Cesar came
Yeah,
as well, and we
who
had
was on the podcast at the rec
rec
episode.
episode. Yeah,
Check it
so
out if
go
you
check it
haven't.
out if you haven't. Yep, good
He's
episode.
a very entertaining and charismatic individual.
And we need to get him back on the show. I'll actually we should reach out to him tomorrow or later tonight and just see what he's got on his mind. See if he's got any other horror movies he'd like us to check out because that one was top notch in my opinion, one of the better ones I've seen in the past year. But like we went last year to a haunt, and there's
Hmm.
nothing like we're not going to be able to do that this year, obviously, right? With everything going
Right.
on, I don't even know if they're going to be open, be able to open. But it's definitely something that I'll miss this year. And I think this movie might be a movie that I go and I watch again, maybe once or twice throughout the October season, just to be able to actually cope and feel it because it's a really good, kind of like a dark ride, um, definitely haunted house feel, good movie. So,
Yeah.
listeners, if you have other movies that are similar to that, tweet us or send them over to us because I'd really like to get a couple of those just for during this time where we can't actually go and experience and enjoy those things. I'd love to be able to experience it through a film, and this is one of the ones that I think does it really well.
Hmm.
The haunt itself has so many awesome different things, like you're talking about the scene where um, Bailey has to put her arm in the hole, and she's supposed to guess what body part that she's touching, but she actually ends up getting slashed by razor blades. You find out later on. Um,
Yeah. The
what part of the
spaghetti.
haunt do you think was like your favorite section? I don't know what piece of the haunt was like your favorite.
So none of it. I don't
None of
know, man. Like
it.
this is just terrifying. Like they have this standard. Put your arm through here and tell us what body part this is. Spaghetti, which is brains, and there's grapes for eyeballs, and then
And then he eats it.
nothing.
Dude, I would never eat.
Nothing, which is just yeah, I wouldn't eat that either. It's disgusting. And then you have the razor blade. He ate it for the film. Like that was just for flavor. But yeah, and then she just gets cut because he drops the ring, which probably was taken off her hand. I don't know.
It would make more sense, yeah. They probably because she did. She sounded like she felt something weird touch her, and she jerks. And when
Yeah,
she jerked, I'm pretty sure that was someone holding the ring, and then it popped right off, right?
I think so too. And then she gets cut, and the guy's like playing with her. He starts laughing. Oh, you're funny. And then she's like, no, someone's really got me. And then she takes her hand out, and I didn't. If somebody cut her wrist here, it wouldn't just slowly open like that. It would already have been bleeding. But for the effect, it was a good effect.
That's one of the gore marks that I have. After the girl pulls her arm out of the hole and the cut slowly open and start to bleed, like that
Just
one,
yeah,
it just made my stomach drop for a moment. Like I truly some of these are just really good, and I've seen this before.
yeah.
Been a little while, but I mean, it's still, oh man, some of these are still really rough to watch. They're really good. They did a great job with them. So I mean, for like the best part of the haunt, I really liked the whole witch, the idea behind the fence dividing you up, taking someone from a group previously that you've seen, because like they saw that girl, the one that gets burned, they saw her going with her friends before them. They
Mm,
recognize her, right? That's why it's even more gripping for them. So to take someone and put them and make them a part of the cast at a haunted house is such a
right.
crazy idea to me. And then the fact that they up it a level because this is truly a horrifying haunt, and they actually burn her face, and then they they smoke screen it. That was just the most. That part
And
was a
then
little
it
cheesy to
disappeared. The
me.
body and the witch both disappear, right?
Yeah, yeah. When
But
the
we get
steam
the
or the
we meet
fog comes
Mitch.
up,
We meet
we
Mitch later on,
yeah.
who's kind of like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's not supposed to happen."
He
They
was
want to see
so
his face.
believable.
They demand to see his face. They demand his name, and he
And
won't
they
give
demand the
like them his
keys.
actual name, and he won't take his mask off. So they get the keys. All mayhem breaks loose. They see their friend get killed by the witch with whatever. Uh, they get lost. They decide to head backwards, and in my mind is like, why don't you just go forward? If he's saying, I don't know. I kind of trusted Mitch at this point in the film,
I mean, I still
and
trusted Mitch.
which
He was giving them better decision making skills than they were giving themselves. Going forward would
well,
have definitely been a better option.
they split up because of it, right? And
Yep.
a couple of them fall down the trap door.
I mean, if you don't know this
Mitch
already, never
hammers.
split the party.
Yeah, well, Mitch hammers the trap door shut, leaving the fat guy out. He gets outside, or the comedic relief, sassy asshole jock esque
Evan?
character. Yeah, and my favorite thing is like, do you still want to see my face? Because earlier you were saying you wanted to see my face. It's a work in progress, but I'm really proud of it.
Where's everybody? Should have been out by now.
Do you still want to see my face?
What?
Do you still want to see my face?
It's whatever, man. I'm fine.
Oh, why not?
I just want to go home.
And we kind of like it zooms away to another. There's a transition, and then it comes back, and we see Evan. He's on the ground, but his face kind of has been pried open with a crowbar, and we see hovering over him Mitch's disfigured face. And everyone in this haunt has had their face disfigured in some way, shape, or form, except for one character who's just kind of there to give us some random background that's not reliable. But yeah,
Yeah, he's the
great.
throwaway worker.
Well, that's the first kill that we know. This is people are actually dying. Their friend is not safe. She was killed.
Right.
I don't know, man. Like I kind of halfway like want to think, oh man, this is really cool. If it was like just a haunt with all the friends being in on it, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, up until this point, you don't know, right? You
Yeah,
think it could just be like you're saying, the workers just bringing in your friends to make you think things are even worse. But I mean, when the girl's arm gets cut, you're still not 100% sure, right? When Bailey gets cut, it could have been an accident, like Mitch was saying. But Mitch is ripping Evan's face open with the claw of the hammer, it's on. Like this is it. It's faux real.
right.
Hey, everybody. We're just going to take a quick, brief intermission, and we'll be right back. So now you've hit another one of my gore moments. So that's awesome. Um, let's follow Harper a little bit because she is our main girl, and this is, I mean, she's the main reason why we're actually getting this film. It revolves primarily around what she does from here on out. You get a little bit of the other characters like Nate and what he's doing, and the nurse chick. No, at this point, nurse chick's gone. She's the one who got hit. Uh, she's the one who gets. I can't believe I'm laughing at that. Stabbed with the pitchfork. So, rip nurse chick. So Harper then decides, you know what, screw this. The guy broke in and killed her friend. She's going to try and I don't know. She's trying to outsmart him, get out of the way, but she basically unlocks one of the other doors, right, and tears out of there. She
Hmm.
just heads out and starts moving forward, from what I can tell, in the haunt.
Yeah.
S-
Nathan, the hero of the film, I would say the hero, not the main character. Uh, I do think he's like the secondary main character because of all the scenes he's in
mhm.
and all the things he does. Like, but yeah,
Michael.
he's basically breaking his way through this haunt. He gets a nail gun, he shoots, he saves Katie by pew pewing the devil dude in the red dress. I don't know.
Yeah, but then so Harper has to climb through. Like she goes through a series of I don't know missteps, I guess, like
Right.
lucky steps, even in some cases. So she's running through different rooms in the haunt, and she comes across a room
Mhm.
where it's like pitch black, and she can't really see what's going on. Um, and all of a sudden, like one of the haunt people pops up and scares her, and she steps backwards, and she steps
Uh-huh.
on another Home Alone setup. It's a plank with nails sticking up, and she basically steps on the nails, and she has
Yeah,
to
that
like
was the one that made me cringe.
she had to peel yeah she had to peel her feet off of there, and then she ends up running off, and she falls onto like the sticky paper, trying to
Yep.
crawl to get into the tunnel, but there's this giant machete guillotine
The
looking
fly
thing.
paper.
Yeah, and she's on the flypaper, so her hands are getting peeled, as she's crawling. That one freaked me out as well. So
Yeah.
she finally got through that though, and luckily made it into the hole. Pushes the story forward a little bit more, and she gets to this room, this like bedroom. It's got
Yep.
these different clues for her to figure out what's going on or how to get out of there. Really, the first clue was find the key.
Well, the key's under the bed. She finds it.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I didn't like about that though, like I don't know, I loved actually, I shouldn't say that. She gets under the bed and she has a flashback. She's reliving the scene with her abusive father, which just hits hard. If you're kind of like going through what she went through emotionally with her post-traumatic stress, uh, the trauma that she went through with her father, and the guy in the red dress, the devil shows up, and that's when he's like, "Let's see what's under your mask," and she says no, stabs him in the eye, and that's when my favorite gore scene happens.
Yes. So she stabs him in the eye. She slams the key in the door, unlocks the door. It sets off this chamber of like mechanisms, super
Shotgun.
engineer style. And then behind the door, you hear the sound of almost like one of those sound boxes with the gears on the inside, and it has a ballerina usually on top playing. But it's Pop Goes the Weasel. And when it pops, a shotgun blasts through the door, hits her. She falls in, and then she's trying to crawl to the gun. Well, Red Devil's had enough of that shit. Gets up, comes after her, and is beating the crap out of her basically when um, I think the second shot goes off. And then the third is winding up, and that's when he had punched her in the face. She gouges him in the eye. He lifts up. Third shot goes off. Boom. Clark's favorite gore scene in the film happens. It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's a great scene. I
the
think
head
it's a really
boom.
great head explosion. Yeah. Um, she ends up getting out of that room. This is the part we don't want to spoil. The rest of that room
Well,
scene.
even no matter what happens here, you get the Bubba with the chainsaw kind of shows up, who, at the point before we know people they're gonna die, uh, kind of he shows up and there's no chain on his chainsaw, by the way. So my suspension of disbelief here is kind of low when he's kind of threatening them with the chainsaw earlier on, and he's like threatening the other guy, and he's like, "You're in my personal space," and then he shoves him. And the guy just like walks up and just stares at him.
Guess I shouldn't have shoved him, huh?
Yeah, well, he doesn't show up again until like this point, and he saws like she fights with him, struggles with him. He saws out the shotgun, and boom, he gets kapooied, and then the spoiler scene happens, and from there, what's his face? Clown's working in the shadows, by the way, this whole time. The clown
I
character,
assume the clown character is kind of our master tinkerer of this entire
yeah, the
haunt.
mastermind.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's just there setting things up. He takes his mask off at this point. He also has a disfigured face. So I have the question in my head of like, are these people or are these demons? And I would love it either way. And
That's a really
he's kind
great
of
piece. Yeah, that's really great. I like
yeah.
it.
Anyhow, he's like he has their phones. He shoves them in a microwave, except for Harper's, and which that's important too. Put a pin on that, audience, when you watch this film. If you haven't seen it yet, jerks. I'm kidding. But anyhow, what's his face shows up, male hero, super sexy guy. He comes in, picks up the phone, he sends a little signal out to get some help, and then all hell breaks loose. That's when everything, like all the shit's going down with her, Harper, and Nathan makes his way out. He breaks out, and he had the chance to just leave.
But he heard the gunshot and he got worried.
Yeah.
I
and
mean,
he
I would go
doubles
back if I was the hero.
He doubles back. The shit happens with the guy with the chainsaw. Mitch is like, you still want to know my name? With Nathan. Nathan sledgehammers the wall. She breaks through. Harper breaks through, and she saves his ass this time.
Yeah, he's got the claw of the hammer in Nate's mouth. And you hear it,
Yeah.
tapping against the teeth, which, by the way, is just bone chilling. I hate that sound.
Yeah.
I have a teeth fear. I don't like people touching my teeth. I don't like the sound that your teeth make when they hit each other, stuff like that. So that really got me, especially with my
high
headphones
tension.
on. So she saves his life. She hits him with the sledgehammer, right?
Yeah.
And then
She does.
Dude, when so Leatherface, Chainsaw Boy, shows up again, and he has the chainsaw in one hand, I think, and the gun in his other, because he kills he kills the no mask boy. So basically, they get helped by Dracula Mask, and Dracula Mask basically lets him know, he's like, I'm just an errand boy. I haven't killed anyone yet. They said if I kill someone, I have to change my face or whatever. And he's like, I haven't done anything wrong. We can go to the police together. No big deal. I'll help you out of here. So he actually is helping them out. And he goes to look in this chest. He's like, I know they hide a gun in here. And the gun's missing. Well, lo and behold, Leatherface has the gun. So Billy from Dead by Daylight shoots that poor kid. And then when she machetes his arm into the wall, or Nate machetes it, someone machetes it, and then she sledgehammers it twice on top of that, I was like, okay, his arm has to be lopped off at this point, right? I mean, that was so gruesome. But then later on, so they get out after dealing with Clown Boy. See, this is where Sam, I mean, obviously, we've already talked about Sam's part, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he shows up, he's trying to find Harper, and they ends up tripwiring that initial, when I was talking about the logo, the guy running the red string was the clown mask guy. And basically...
I didn't want them to know it was Sam, but damn it.
Okay, I'll cut that part. No, I'll cut it.
Because I was kind of... Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll cut it. That's fine. See, that's why I was curious.
Oh,
I wasn't
man.
100% sure which part you wanted me to put in and which part to leave out. That's why I was going to say it. If you tell me no, this is the part I'll cut.
It's so anticlimactic. He just kind of no, it's fine. I mean, he just shows up and then he dies.
When he gets sledgehammered, though, that's a really good head explosion too, by the way.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'd keep it in, man. Keep this in, guys. You've been warming anyway, but Sam, like the warning that was sent out on the phone before the clown tries to kill. Oh, was it clown or the zombie? I don't remember. The zombie had the gun, right?
Mitch was trying to kill Nate, and Nate was secretly sending the text out to Sam's phone with the map.
As soon as he sends it, the direction it says help, Mitch tries to kill him. Right. That was no. Sam shows up. As soon as he shows up, he dies. It's like, okay.
But
dead. I guess that's to showcase the clown's dominance.
that, and it's like abusive ex-boyfriend who we really don't like and don't really have much. You don't care, right? It's very
No,
anticlimactic for me in the sense of like it didn't mean anything, and
no, yeah.
I think that's exactly how we're supposed to feel. I mean, I don't know. He's an ex-boyfriend who was abusive though, so I mean, I guess he got what was coming to him, thinking he was a big shot. But yeah, he gets a sledgehammer to the head. He triggers the red string, and um, you know, Mr. Clown takes care of him. It's it. He's gone. He's done. We get two head explosions in this film.
Yeah, no, we get plenty of head explosions. I think the main purpose of this part of the movie was just to show you that the clown guy is just a badass. Because when Sam shows up and he's yelling at him, clown's just doing whatever he's doing and not paying attention. Sam walks forward, gets darted in the throat with a fucking nut
Mm-hmm.
or a bolt. Sorry, he gets bolted in the neck, falls over, head explosion, and the clown just kind of walks off nonchalantly, starts lighting shit on fire.
Yeah.
Has
So
all their personal information, by the way. Everybody filled out a disclaimer
yeah,
with all of their personal information.
back when Mitch was talking to Evan about his
Oh, yeah.
mask, he starts reciting Mitch's home address.
Well, he calls him by his address.
Yeah, and if that doesn't chill you, like I don't know what would, man. I don't know. That would definitely send me. Evan should not have lost that battle. Whatever, however, because you don't get that. That is one thing we don't get. Less is more in that case. We don't know how Evan got his ass kicked from Mitch, but we know that he loses the battle. And I think I don't know. That was one moment in the film that I forgot to mention earlier when you were talking about it that really was like, nope, don't like that. But
Really?
speaking of the fire thing, yeah, because if someone you don't know, just because you filled out a waiver, they start talking to you and referring to you as your address, that's too much. That's photographic memory at that point, and they know where I live
Do you-
now.
Do you want to talk about like how there was like crude oil dripping from bags on the
Yes.
safe side?
Yes,
and
so
the clown just slowly lights everything on fire from there.
There's
with
a few
that
moments-
foreshadowing.
there's a few minutes where I think, like you're talking about the foreshadowing, there's quite a few know-it-all moments. One of them is it's not paint, it's oil, right? When they're walking through the haunt to begin,
Right.
and then the nurse chick saying it's a two-way mirror. My cousin is a psychiatrist, and then the lockpick expert Evan, it's a two-way lock, man. I can't do it. Don't worry, I'll be able to lockpick the phones or whatever. Like there's just, to me, there was a little bit too much
Lockbox.
of the whole know it all moment kind of things, but they definitely, like you were talking about, play into that foreshadowing and the understanding of something. It's important, pay attention to it because it's gonna come back and it's gonna be a big deal. The only
Well,
one I
they-
think that didn't was the
yeah.
mirror, really.
The two-way mirrors there, like you see people looking through them, looking at them, kind of watching them getting haunted. I don't know. Dude, one of my favorite scenes though is when they're breaking out and they finally get outside and we meet the witch again. And she's like, "You think you're the first ones to get this far?"
No,
And
no,
they
no.
just fucking kill
No.
it right then and there.
That's not what she
She's
said. I think you missed kind of the irony in what she said, I guess. So, because the way she says it, or what she says is, you think you're the only one to make it this far. So my guess is she thinks she's alone at this point, right? The girl gets out, she slams the lid shut. Nate hasn't made himself apparent yet, right? She doesn't know
Yeah.
he's there. So when he opens that door back up and pulls her in, like, yeah, I think she legitimately thought that Harper was the only one who made it that far, and that's
Well,
what
they slammed
got
the
her.
door. Don't they slam the door right on her face after
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, Harper just freaking just wham, wham, wham.
Dead, so dead. She just dies instantly. This horrifying character that gives probably the highest amount of horror to the group by killing their friend right in front of them is out like that. And from there, we get introduced to this zombie character who we don't even see until this point. And he just tries to shoot them with the gun. But,
That's Leatherface.
lucky-
That's Chainsaw Boy.
No, he's dead though.
No.
Didn't he die from the shotgun?
No, they macheted him So Chainsaw Guy got macheted in the hallway. She macheted his arm into the wall and then sledgehammered it in, and you think he's just stuck there. He was the one who shot Dracula Boy with the gun, that same gun. He ends up getting out somehow, makes it all the way around, and then Nate decides, well, I'm going to one-on-one with Chainsaw Boy, and then that's when Chainsaw Boy shoots Nate, in the tummy, and then Nate goes off on him with the baseball bat.
Yeah, man. His name, I think he's cast as zombie for some reason on IMDb. I don't know why.
His face looks like a zombie.
Yeah. Well, he pulls out the gun, and that's where Nathan saves the day, beats the shit out of him with his lucky bat, drops it right next to him, and they both leave. They're both mortally wounded. They take the truck, ambulance drives past them, and from there, the film kind of ends to its conclusion, which is fantastic.
Yes.
There's a hint at the hospital, which is another foreshadowing event that leads to the amazing conclusion that I feel is probably the best conclusion I've ever seen in a horror movie.
We are not discussing it. You have to watch it. You have to. As a listener of the show, I beg of you, please go check this movie out.
Oh, you're begging?
I'm begging.
Curtis, stand up.
No, I am on my knees right now, begging.
Yes.
Please.
I'm definitely in the same room with him as he's doing this.
We're holding
100%.
hands right now.
We are.
I'm
Well,
begging you.
It's because he's a little scared.
It is. I agree with you. It is one of the best endings in horror, if not the best. I would agree with you there. It's definitely one of my favorites.
Resolution.
Definitely one of my favorites. Cool. Well, I mean, I give this movie high scores. What says Clark?
I think I'll watch this again, which is the highest. That's the highest review I can give it. If I will watch a movie more than once, then you got a great film. Like not just for the show, but on my own for something I want to do.
Perfect.
Respect. I respect this film. I respect the writing. I respect the acting. I respect the directing. I respect the editing. I respect the special effects. All of it was very well done. Great job, guys. You can tell this is a work of passion. So I don't know if anyone who was a part of this film will ever listen to this episode, but if you do, just pat yourself on the back because you did a great job.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get Eli Roth to listen to this episode. Start tweeting at
We'll
them.
see.
So he was the executive producer on this film, which is why I think it's very interesting that Scott and Brian, I don't know, they just made this like come to life. But I think with Eli Roth's influence, I mean, they even quoted him and specifically mentioned there's a reason why you don't know a lot about their backstory. Eli Roth's influence was basically like, don't give a lot of the haunt workers background and backstory, but I want you to. So Scott and Brian and the team working on the film, they created this elaborate understanding of where all these guys came from and came together to do this thing. So in their heads, they all know the backstory to these characters, to these haunt workers. We don't get that, obviously, but we feel it. Like we understand that there is some reason why they're all the way they are, and there's different hints and fun stuff like that throughout it. So Eli Roth
some background.
Was a big deal.
We get some, not a lot. I want to hear more, Mr. Eli Roth. Even just send him some love. I think, guys, just tell him they made a great movie. Give him your warm regards. Otherwise, man, do you want to talk about your favorite character? I know you usually.
I don't know if I have one for this movie. I liked all of our characters that we follow along in the haunt. I mean, I wouldn't.
Really?
I really don't want to pick just one. No, them as a group is great.
I would have to say Mitch is probably my favorite character.
Oh, the believable haunt worker.
I just like Mitch. Yeah, I'm not saying he's a good person, but the character was fantastic because he shows up and he's like helping them out, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's not supposed to happen," and he leads them on in such a way, and then he shows up and he's the creepiest character in the film as well.
Yeah, I agree. Character I feel the most sorry for is probably Bailey.
Bailey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But viewers,
Understandable.
listeners will know. Listeners will know. We're not spoiling
Bailey's probably
things.
my least favorite character.
I'm not saying she was a
Bluntly.
nice character or a
Yeah.
likable character, but I feel sorry for her for sure.
Anybody who takes my friend's mom's ring and then like without
Loses
asking and
it.
then like gaslights her into letting her wear it is not a okay in my book.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
yeah, despite her losing it, even if she didn't lose it, I still didn't like her character.
because you feel you as a viewer, like we feel so much more for Harper than any other character in
Yeah.
this movie, and I agree.
Well,
I agree with
Harper
that.
and Nathan, because Nathan gets some introduction as one of the main characters at the party.
Yeah, I just
Uh,
don't have much like positive or negative really about him other than
I,
he's just some guy.
I, I would not be surprised if there was more about him that was cut out of the film in post
Him and
that
Evan.
wasn't added to it. Just Nathan, because if he's going to be the secondary main character, there has to be more of him in it at some point. But I feel like the focus on Harper was good enough. Don't make it convoluted. Just give us one person who the story revolves around. Give us a main character. They're our focus. Stick to that. This isn't a video game. We can't do 40 hours. This is like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah. Evan would be his sidekick in whatever storyline they did throw in, anyways. Probably someone who's just around him. They seem to be college frat buddies or whatever.
Yeah.
Definitely have some kind of a friendship because whenever Evan splashes his beer all over Harper, Nate's all over
pushes
his
him,
ass. Yeah, he's all over his ass. And you wouldn't do that with someone that you just met or just ran into at a bar, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, that's all we have to say about the movie specifically. So we're going to move into some quick fun facts and trivia, and then we'll get into what we've been doing, and then we'll close out, as we always do, with some plugs. I've got some interesting new plugs for us. So, fun facts and trivia. Are you ready, Clark?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Perfect. So, I mentioned that Scott and Brian wrote the script for Haunt and the screenplay for A Quiet Place at the same time, simultaneously. But what I didn't mention is they did that without any expectation that either film would actually get made. They, like you said, it's a passion project. We can feel that. And it's interesting because A Quiet Place has gone on to be a very big hit in the box office. And Haunt
They
is...
did the same thing with the writing on that one too. I didn't know they both did them.
Yes. And Haunt is quickly becoming a beloved film on Shudder and multiple other places. For instance, this film specifically was shown twice. It was shown in 2 different film festivals, one here in the US, I believe in Florida, and one in London. And both got huge positive reviews, basically, which is really good to hear. It got a very short release and then ended up getting picked up by Shudder as an exclusive. So it's really neat to see a movie that was completely indie.
For free streaming.
Yes.
Yeah.
So production was actually halted when they were making this film because a man was stabbed, and there was a police shooting near the Cal Poly Pomona campus where they were filming near. So that's
near where I grew up.
Fun fact. The majority of this film was done in Fort Thomas, Kentucky, in the northern portion of Kentucky. And then when the characters' phones were being checked, the second phone had a picture of the I-74 bridge that connects Bettenford, Iowa, and Moline, Illinois on the lock screen. The directors are from this area known as the Quad Cities, so it was most likely a reference that they put in to where they grew up. And our final fun fact and trivia. There is an homage to Inglourious Bastards, which was Eli Roth's film, as he was an executive producer on the film. Scott and Brian mention in an interview that there's one character in this film who holds a bat and knows how to use it. And that was their homage to Inglourious Bastards.
Nice.
Cool. So that's all of
know
our
you're
fun
talking
facts and
about
trivia.
the Nazi Slayer, the Bear Jew. Yeah.
Yes.
Great movie too, by the way.
It is.
We will have to do A Quiet Place at some point. I don't know when A Quiet Place 2 is coming out. I feel like since COVID came out, it was going to come out earlier this year. I believe it was July, but that's definitely on hiatus now. We'll see what happens. But I feel that once you see that, you'll kind of get the same feeling in terms of the writing.
We'll
Like
definitely
they
have to
don't
do,
explain where the monsters come from or anything.
yeah, they'll definitely have to do a bonus episode for um, A Quiet Place 2 when it's in theaters. Um, I love A Quiet Place. I think it's a really good
I
movie.
didn't know you saw it.
I have seen it.
Oh, okay. Well, we can talk about that later.
Cool.
We'll hold hands and talk about our feelings.
Yes.
How do you
All
feel
right.
right now? Just kidding.
The
Let's
way
talk
I feel
about.
right now is it's time to plug our social media.
Well, let's before that, let's talk about what we've been up to
Oh,
lately.
you caught me.
So,
Damn it, you caught me.
Curtis, what have you been up to lately?
Well, as you know, I have not been playing Dead by Daylight with you, unfortunately. I would love to have been able to do that. Other than work and life being super crazy, I did check out a special. I'm not really sure what I would call it on Shudder, but it's almost like a documentary, I guess. It's called In Search of Darkness: A Journey into Iconic 80s Horror. And I'm about halfway through it so far into I think 1984, and it's just been a lot of fun. It's been really cool to see all these different people from the horror genre, directors, writers, actors, special effects artists, people who just know about horror. Um,
Hmm.
they all come together and they just give really cool insight and talk about how much fun the 80s were for horror. And me being a huge 80s fan and being a huge horror fan, it's just kind of too easy for me to watch. Way too easy. What
That's
have
awesome, man.
you been up to?
So, as you know, I am a fan of the outdoors, and I went camping this weekend, and it was great. We went to Mormon Lake, which was basically a marsh. Went visited Lake Mary, went on a 10-mile hike, and got some time to reflect, decompress. Work's been stressing me out a little bit. So, I got to hang out with my buddy John and a new friend Matt, and we had a good time. We had a good time, and I'm glad it was done, Curtis. And there's no real horror movie or anything really going on aside from just had to have that time to myself to recharge. And here
Hey,
we
I mean,
are.
maybe it's a good moment to just remind everybody, like, hey, sometimes you need to just unplug for a little while. Maybe you need to
Yeah,
just get
no,
away and enjoy some nature or whatever it is to you, whatever your nature is to you. Take a
even
moment,
with COVID.
chill out, relax. Yeah, definitely. I think even though the weather's hot here, where we're at, it's above 110 most days right now. I still have to go outside, take a big breath and just kind of meditate for a little bit. And even though it's hot, 5-10 minutes still is not bad in the shade. And it's always good to take a nice breather. So I'm glad you were able to get away and enjoy some camping. That's cool.
Oh man. Well,
All
let's
right,
let's get into the plugs, Mr. Curtis.
let's
What are
do
you
it.
gonna plug for us
We've
today?
we've got something new that I'll get to.
Where's the plug going?
All right, so the first plug's going out to Twitter and Instagram. You can follow us at the number 2 Guys Horror Pod. That is the number 2 Guys Horror Pod. We are over 1,000 followers. In fact, we are almost at 1,100 at the moment. Clark and I have been talking in the back screen, background, behind the scenes of doing something kind of fun to celebrate our 1,000 followers on Twitter. But please also follow us on Instagram. It is the same exact handle at the number 2 Guys Horror Pod. You can check us out there. We're going to be doing hopefully a lot more posts just kind of to give you guys ideas and hints of different episodes that are coming up in the future. And this is the big one. I might add a drum roll here for effect. We are now on YouTube. You can check us out on YouTube. Our channel is Two Guys and Some Horror. It's linked pretty much everywhere now. I just need to tie it into Twitter before this episode launches. Currently, we have the entire season 1 catalog of episodes up for you guys to check out. It is just the audio. We don't do video yet. But if you guys truly like YouTube, and YouTube is your main place to go to, let us know by giving us a subscription. Just sub to us. Click some likes on some of the episodes that you like from season 1. Maybe drop a comment just to let us know what you liked most about each specific episode. And if we get to enough, we might start doing not live, but video episodes for our podcast, along with the audio episodes that you can check out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Let's get guys, check out our YouTube channels, like, subscribe, comment, ring that bell, hashtag I don't know. That's the hashtag I don't know. Hashtag Clark Gaffs 2020. Thank you everybody for listening to us. We appreciate you for spending time to hang out with us today.
Bye.
Give me the clap.
Why does it sound
Talking about
dirtier than
haunt.
it?
It only sounds dirty because you're making it dirty. I never thought of it that way. I'm just kidding. Fuck with you.